Hello everyone. I apologize for the delay. I hope you're on, and I will wait for us to begin a bit. I'm just going to have, I lost my tea, I found it. I just want to remind all of you that today's tea time will be posted after we're done, and all of the tea times and fireside readings are posted on FaceTime Live and on my Facebook page. I also started a bit, maybe I'm too early, but it seems like I was late. I was on a walk, and I want to tell you about that walk, but first I want to tell you about what we're going to do today. Welcome, I see you're on, and welcome to Tea Time. I hope you're enjoying your tea. I'm having wonderful hot peppermint tea. I hope you enjoy yours. Today we are going, tonight at 7, we'll be reading chapter 9 of The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, and it's all about being in the witch's house. So today we're going to take a walk in my house, and we're going to go up to the children's wing. Today's talk is called Toys of Endearment. And I'm going to walk you up the stairs to the top attic rooms. One is a storage room, which one day we'll go into. Today we're going into the children's wing. It's one of my favorite places to go and hide. And all of my young cousins and friends their children love to go up there. And we're going to do that today, but on the way I'm going to tell you some stories, and I hope you don't get seasick on the way up. I will be also telling you a story about my walk and something that's relevant for us today now that we're all quarantined. I'd ask you all to consider getting outside and taking a walk even after this is done or before the evening and before dinner. Children, get your parents to take you out. It's really nice outside, and at least here tomorrow it's going to be raining as far as I know. So, Toys of Endearment. I'm going to come up and get the camera here. And just 1 second. Just 1 second here. I need to reverse the camera. Oh, there we go. All right. Going up the stairs. These stairs have been here since 1837. We're going to stop on this landing on the way up to the children's room and show you something in the corner. These two dolls, Twyla and I purchased in Russia in 1991. They were made by costume designers from the Mariinsky Theater in St. Petersburg, Russia. This was in the fall. This was in the winter, the first celebration of Orthodox Christmas, and I just thought these were really wonderful and very funny. And they are all handmade and hand designed and hand sewn. The faces are made out of paper mache, and the other are stitched claws with padding. The hands. Their feet are really cool. They have peasant boots made out of burlap and patched pants. They're quite wonderful. It's a man and a woman. There's another pair of dolls I'll show you another time, but the chair that they're sitting in is even more interesting. The chair that they're sitting in is all handmade, hand-carved, and hand-webbed. I got it from a lady who had passed away, and it was made in 1905. Especially for her. It's one of a kind, and it's in the French style. I'm sorry if the light isn't really bright, but I hope that you'll be able to see them. You'll be passing the bottom of a portrait of my daughter, which we will talk about portraits tomorrow, painted portraits tomorrow. Below the fire extinguisher is a trunk, and the name on it is Max. There were 2 Max trunks that came into the marriage. with Twyla. She had gotten them. They were vintage, and they're really wonderful. This one is full of mysteries, just like some of the rooms in the, well, not the witch's house, but like some of the places in Narnia. In this trunk are piles and piles of doll clothes that were made by my aunt and my mother and my grandmother. And they're really lots of fun. Someday I'll show them to you. Above the trunk is a wonderful portrait of Twyla and my girls. There's actually a reflection of a pastel of Abigail in the middle of this reflection of the glass. I love the ray of light coming down over my wonderful wife and children. We'll talk more about photography and portraiture later. Now I'm going up to the second landing, and you can see what we just passed. And this is a wall. There's a complete wall of all kinds of mementos and portraits, which we'll talk about later. This is the first, this was the marriage certificate of the first Isley that came from Switzerland. It's from the 1800s, early 1800s. Going up the stairs, speaking of Russia, this portrait was done by Sergei Sankov in St. Petersburg in '92, right after, January '92, right after the coup in Russia. Now we land at the first object, toy of endearment. This has an amazing story. This is a dough trough or dough bin. I think you can see it. This I bought for the gallery to store prints, matted prints. And when Twyla was pregnant with Abigail, Rachel was about little over 3 years old, we had a big event, some of you may remember it, at the Red Cross ballroom, Red Cross building, headquarters ballroom, beautiful Beaux-Arts room. It was an Advent workshop, and it was one of the earliest Advent wreath-making sessions that anybody done in DC. In fact, there's a whole generation of families that have started doing Advent wreaths out of that moment. I believe, I'm not sure, it must have been about 85, 86, not sure. Anyway, so this bin looked to me like a manger, so I brought it along and we introduced everyone to holiday traditions, to Advent traditions. One of them, my favorite, was St. Nicholas, and so I dressed up like St. Nicholas and we invited all the children to come up at my feet for me to say who I was and I would pretend anyway, dramatize it. Anyway, so Rachel came up when she was 3.5, and one of the wonderful traits of my daughter, my older daughter Rachel, is that she loves to be in the middle of whatever's going on, and I love her for it. So she was sitting at my feet and looking up to me while I was pretending to be St. Nicholas, and she whispered up to me and she says, "Dad, I know it's you. I see your feet in your shoes." Anyway, it gets even more interesting because this was filled with hay, and it was to my right on the stage just to set. We had lanterns with candles and torches, and we had dessert, which was amazing. There was a wonderful restaurant called Café de Paris, which eventually went under. And then there was another one down by the canal that was even better, La Ruche. La Ruche means the beehive. And we bought French tarts. They came by the yard and had them we had 2 of them stacked in our Honda Accord trying to get them to the Red Cross building. They almost didn't survive, or neither did we. Anyway, they were there. Twyla was very pregnant, and in fact, if history be told, every time we had a big event like this, if we were pregnant, 3 days later, Twyla delivered. It happened both with Rachel and with Abigail. Anyway, so I was going on and talking about other traditions, and Rachel was with a nanny. Well, Rachel didn't really like the nanny, and so I was trying to be serious. I was introducing a dance group, and we were having music performance. Then all of a sudden, I see Rachel striding down the aisle toward where I am on the stage, with Twyla running after her, very, very, very pregnant. And so when Rachel got up to the stage, she just went and crawled into the manger and pretended to go to sleep. So the baby Jesus was in the manger through my daughter Rachel. Anyway, nobody ever forgot it. And then the most dramatic part was Twyla picking her up out of the crib, putting her under her arm, and carrying her out while being very, very, very pregnant. So now we're going to go upstairs to the children's wing. These stairs, again, I say, have been here since 1837. They've never changed. The top of the stairs is a child's desk. I hope you can see it. It's a little dim here. This child's desk means a lot to me. There's a photo that I just discovered was taken when my adoption became finalized. And I could never figure out why I had all these presents. I thought it was just my birthday, but it wasn't. It was my taking on the Isley name and having a real lineage and heritage. Above it is a celluloid Santa Claus from probably the early 20s. There's reindeer and the sleigh. I think I have the reindeer stored in the attic for Christmas ornaments. This is a picture of my mother, Esther Isley, who adopted me, and next to it is, I'm not sure, it's an old photograph. It's been somewhat embellished of my dad, Waldo Isley, and his brother, who died when he was 18 and when my dad was in his 20s. They were about the same, maybe not, well, they were a little bit older than Rachel and Abigail. Anyway, I just thought you might like to see that. So now we're going to go into the children's wing. The opposite of that. And there is Punky making her debut today. As usual, very comfortable, cozy, and by herself. That's the cat's penchant. There are too many things in here today to talk about, which I will later. But I want to just show you things. One of them is this dress. We love to get special dresses for Christmas for both our girls. And this was one for Abigail when she was young. And it's velvet. It's made by a designer who has things